afternoon. Yeah. Good afternoon. So, I guess we can start. We have a good number of.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let me, on behalf of ASHON, welcome all our members to this very important webinar. And I would like to thank. I'd like to thank for offering us this opportunity. AD&D forensic training. Please, can we mute? Can we mute if we're not speaking? I'd like to thank AD&D forensics training for offering us this opportunity. And I must say that they've offered us the opportunity free of charge. And so we don't take it for granted. And this is a new area indeed for every one of us. As we are aware, the new Investments and Securities Act 2025, we have this in that new law. And that's an area that SEC also is pushing. And that's also, it's also important that we also get ourselves attuned to what with the trend, the global trend is today. So we want to thank our partners for this opportunity. And they promised us that at the end of this exercise, we will learn what digital assets are really and why they matter at a time like this. And that brokers will also have the opportunity to stay competitive. We also learn how brokers globally are already engaging with this asset class. We also have the opportunity of knowing what our regulators are thinking, what they are doing at the moment. So these are great opportunities for us to engage with this subject. And I'm glad that we have a good turnout. I'm sure we are also going to have a lot more going forward. So may I seize this opportunity to thank again our partners, AD&D, and ask Mr. Dedeji, I suppose, to take it from there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I think my colleague Chioma is the one that will go on here. Is it Chioma or I don't know?
Yes, me. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, Mr. Sam. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear, Chioma.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Mr. Sam. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here today. It's truly an honor to be speaking with members of ASHON, professionals who are at the very heart of Nigeria's capital market. My name is Oge Anene. I'm a lawyer with a focus on blockchain and digital assets, and also a member of the training team at A&D Forensics as Africa's leading blockchain intelligence firm. So we are delighted to be here today, and I'm here alongside my colleagues. Today we are going to be exploring this wonderful topic, the introduction to digital assets, opportunities for stockbrokers in this new era of investment. So basically, this session is all about helping you understand where the markets are heading, and what new opportunities are emerging, and most importantly, what it means for you as stockbrokers to stay competitive in this evolving financial landscape, right? Now, before we get into the program, I want to ask you a question, and I want you all to please put your answer in the chat. So now on a scale of 1 to 10, right? How confident do you feel if a client comes to you right now, or maybe someone just comes to you and says, oh, I've been hearing about digital assets. What is it really? Should I pay attention, or is it one of those things? On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident do you feel explaining digital assets to maybe a client or a friend, anyone, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident do you feel explaining it to a client? Maybe 1 means, maybe, oh, I honestly wouldn't know where to start. That's okay. 5 means I know a little, I could say something about it, but I don't think I'm fully confident. If you are in between 1 and 5, also put it in the chat. It could be 2, 3, 4. And if you are a 10, I can explain it clearly, and I can even guide my clients with confidence. If you're also between 5 to 10, let us see in the chat. Let's see your numbers in the chat. Where are you? Let's rate it between 1 to 10. Can I see? I can see the chat is beside, on the right side. I can't see any messages. Can anyone see? Can you see the chat?
Yes, we have a 3.
Oh, okay. I can
3.
see. Okay. Dunia says a 3. Okay. I can see another 3. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
3s. I can see 2 3s. If you are a 1, if you are a 2, whatever it is, just drop your numbers in the chat.
Okay, comma is 5. You are muted. You are muted.
So, sorry about that. I can see 2s, I can see 4s, and like I was saying, I said there's nothing wrong with putting in a 1 or a 2 or 3. That's honesty, right? And honesty is the best place to start learning. So if you are somewhere in the middle, like maybe a 5 or a 6, maybe it means you know a bit, but maybe not enough, or maybe you're not fully confident. And maybe if you are a 9 or 10, that's also amazing. Okay, I can also see a 6, right? It means that you've been keeping up and you've been following what's going on, but I promise you that there's still more you can take away today. So wherever you are today, whether it's a 2 or a 5, this session is actually designed to help you raise that number. You know, it's designed to help you understand digital assets better and also be ready for the opportunities that they bring, right? So are you ready for that? If you are ready, let me know. If you are ready, let me know. Put it in the chat while I share my screen again. Are you ready? Who's ready for that? Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your numbers. For those who have shared, I can see that we are already going to have an engaging session today. So now, please, like I said, I'm not here alone. With me today, we'll have my colleagues with me, but right now we'll have someone who really doesn't need much introduction when it comes to this blockchain space, when it comes to blockchain, when it comes to compliance and the future of digital assets in Nigeria, right? He's the principal partner at A&D Forensics. His name is Mr. Adedeji Owonibi. He has been at the forefront of shaping how regulators, the banks, the professionals across Africa engage with blockchain and digital assets. So it's truly a privilege to have him here with us today. So maybe we would like to hear from him just to say hello to us. So over to you, Mr. Deji. We're excited to hear from you. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Oge. Thank you very much. And I welcome everyone to this meeting. I think it's a meeting that is well needed at this point, especially now that most young population are looking towards, you know, buying and selling and investing in digital assets. I don't know, Oladipo, your this thing is echoing. So for me, I think what I would just say is that I encourage every one of us to actually listen keenly, because again, like earlier mentioned at the introduction, this is something that is of value for especially the association itself. I think just last week, I was in London, and it was by the Association of Asset Custodians of Nigeria, in tandem with some asset custodians also in London. So you have the likes of HSBC in the room, Standard Chartered Bank, Stanbic IBTC, Access Bank, First Bank, custodial arm, all looking at how they can do custody, asset management, and talking about all this around digital asset. And one basic argument in the room that time, I think we have NGX, CSCS, everyone was in the room. I was also meant to speak about the digital asset and how they can take advantage of custodianship and asset management as it goes there. And there was discussion around trading time, you know, settlement time, reducing settlement to T+2 days, instead of 3 days. And I told them when I came to speak that, look, the world has moved away from even what we're debating. For the young person now, he wants to buy his seat and he wants to see it in his wallet right now. And so that is the world we live in. And everybody have to work towards catching up with that world, where you buy your asset now, you invest in any digital asset, and you get your thing instantly, as against buying shares. So the buying of shares, selling of securities will not be, that serious appetite for this young generation that are coming. And that is the essence of bridging the gap. And we that have been doing this for ages as a profession, and then it is just okay that we look at, okay, what is happening new? How can we still remain relevant? And that is what the custodian have done. Yesterday, I also sent something to what do you call them, portfolio managers and asset managers and also treasury management associates, because there was something that was happening around how you can manage your treasuries. If you have a multinational that have 500 banks, for example, across different jurisdictions, now the whole thing has been reduced by stablecoin, by a lot of things, and they could manage their treasury better. And I sent those write-ups to that association to look at it. And I'm glad in this with the securities dealing houses in the country, so we can see how digital asset is shaping, what is happening, and very early, like I mentioned, everyone is learning it. So from regulators, including the US, for example, everyone is just trying to catch up with it. So I think Nigeria here we're a bit early. So everyone is learning, from the tax authorities to central banks of different countries. I think we had a session with the central banks a couple of weeks back. So everyone is learning, So I think for us, we are also not late, in my view. I think we are pretty much early. And so I welcome all of us to have an open mind, ask questions where you think you need to ask questions. And of course, we will also try our best to see how we can communicate what we understand within the space. The good thing is we've been involved with the space for a long time, working with different regulators. We've been involved internationally, formulating frameworks around digital asset regulation in different countries. So you can ask any question, even if it's not part of this, and we'll try our best to see if we can just share some light to it. So thank you very much for the little time you gave to me.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Deji, for that. So you'll also be hearing from my colleague, Choma Onyekelu, who will be leading the main teaching session. But before that, let's quickly look at some housekeeping rules and walk you through who we are at A&D Forensics. All right. So hope you can see my screen now. All right, so first off, if you can, not if you can, I know you can. So please, right now, as we go through this session, we want you to please, silence any distractions, stay away from anything that's going to distract you. We know you have emails coming, work calls, WhatsApp groups, they can all be tempting, but please, let's give our full attention to this session. And secondly, we need you to be fully present, because this session is just for 60 minutes, but it's really packed with things that you can actually take back to your work. And we also encourage you to take notes, take a lot of notes, because there's going to be actionable insights coming fast, and we don't want anyone leaving here saying, oh, I wish I wrote that down, So please get your questions ready, because we're going to have a question and answer session at the end of this, because we want this to be truly practical, right? So let me quickly introduce you to who we are. We are A&D Forensics, and we want you to also know why this conversation is close to our hearts. We want you to know why we're here. Because if you know where we are coming from, you understand why we are so passionate about supporting brokers like you on this journey, right? So you can see here we are Africa's leading blockchain intelligence service provider, and our mission is simple, right? We help institutions, we help regulators, we help professionals like you navigate this world of digital assets with confidence. And what does that mean exactly? What does it mean in practice? Like as you can see on the left side of the slide, these are our services. It means we'll help ensure compliance through KYC, KYB verification, the travel rule compliance, wallet screening, and even training compliance teams. It also means that we are on the investigative side. As you can see, we we do a lot of blockchain forensics. We've handled cryptocurrency cases, we've supported the law enforcement, and even appeared in court as expert witnesses, because when digital assets are involved, you know that it really has to be serious. But on the cybersecurity side, our team runs smart contract audits, vulnerability assessment, and penetration testing, because digital assets are, they are only as strong as the systems that protect them. So we do all of that. And then, of course, we are also involved in training and certifications through our programs like the Certified Cryptocurrency Investigator and the Certified Cryptocurrency Compliance Specialist. We've been able to equip hundreds of people and professionals across Africa to engage confidently in this space. Now on this, on your screen, you can also see some of the institutions we've worked with, from the global organizations like UNODC, Europol, to Nigerian regulators, EFCC. We've worked with SEC and CBN, as well as other professional associations, ICANN, CITN, and all. And we've also supported and trained leading banks. We've had trainings with First Bank, we've had trainings with Sterling Bank, here in Nigeria, and also Equity Bank in East Africa. And at the bottom of this, you can see some of our global partners. We have organizations like Chainalysis, TRM Labs, Merkle Science, which shows that our work really is aligned with the very best international standards. So we can also see on the right that we have locations across Africa. We're based in West Africa with our operations here in Nigeria, headquarters in Abuja, and we also have offices in East Africa and South Africa as well. So in short, we are not just speaking to you today from theory or what is out there. We are speaking to you here on everything we know based on real world experience. So we're working directly with the regulators, the banks, the fintechs, global partners, and that's exactly why we're also excited to share what this means for you as stockbrokers. So that's just a quick snapshot of who we are and why we are passionate about this. Now let's look at what you are going to work with today. Right, because by the end of this session, you'll be able to clearly identify the main categories of digital assets and why they matter in today's financial world. You're going to see how traditional stockbroking, how it's compared to the structures of the crypto market, and more importantly, where the overlaps and where the opportunity lies, right? So you're also going to evaluate the specific opportunities that exist for the Nigerian brokers. You are going to look at the regulatory landscape, not just in Nigeria, but we're going to take you globally to see what is happening there as well. So you can have a sense of where these things are heading, right? And to make it real, we're going to also explore the global case studies and, look at lessons that are relevant to our own context here in Nigeria. So you're going to be learning a lot, really learning a lot. So we need to pay so much attention to it, right? So let's get into it. And I'm really excited about this part because we are getting into the main deal. And this main deal is being led by my colleague, Chioma Onyekelu. She's a blockchain forensics and AML specialist at A&D Forensics, and also the training lead. She has trained regulators, she has trained banks, virtual asset service providers across Africa. And she's bringing a wealth of practical experience on how blockchain and digital assets are transforming finance. So she's not speaking theory. She has really worked on real investigations and compliance cases, and she really understands how this thing works. So please join me in welcoming Chioma Onyekelu. She's going to take us through this session right now. So please pay attention. Chioma Onyekelu, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Odogi. Okay, so please, just to make sure that my screen is visible before I begin, please confirm if you can see my screen. Yes.
Yeah, I can see the screen.
Right. So, good afternoon, everyone. Of course, I think most of us are in Nigeria and Africa, and most of us are on that African afternoon time zone. It's a pleasure to be here with you all. And just like my colleagues have mentioned, Mr. Adeliji and Ms. Oge, please pay attention to this session. One thing I would like to assure us is that it's going to be more of hands-on. So there are some activities that have been slated in between. So please pay attention so that if you're asked to do anything, you will participate. That's the only way you will take home a whole lot from this. So I would like to ask, has any of us had any clients that was interested in probably Bitcoin, just asked you questions? Oh, because as stockbrokers, our major aim or our major goal is to serve as a middleman between people that want to have their investments, right? No matter what it is, probably in stocks, in bonds, or shares. All right. So we are the middleman. So I would like to know, has anybody at all asked you, oh, this Bitcoin I'm hearing about, do you have any idea? Or have they asked you about stable coins? You could just put the response in the chat box, probably a yes or a no, so that we can proceed. Have you had any clients at all ask you any question? Oh, okay, Prof. Sunday said yes. Oh, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so I think with that we can proceed, and it's obvious that a lot of people are interested, especially the people who call the Gen Z, the millennial, younger generations. They're much interested in what we're about to discuss now, and that is the opportunity you have now. So the financial markets, like we can see, or we already know, is undergoing what we call a paradigm shift, and traditional securities like equities and bonds are not just the instruments, the only instruments that our investors are seeking. They want to explore. They're looking into digital assets like cryptocurrencies, stable coins, tokenized securities, and blockchain-powered products. So they are infiltrating the mainstream. And the earlier we understand what this is, the better for us. So it's no longer a fringe idea, because even as global institutions are offering crypto trading, talk about the likes of BlackRock, a lot of them are going big into crypto custody and everything that has to do with crypto assets, tokenized bonds, blockchain-based investment products. Even our regulators, for instance, the Nigerian SEC, the CBN, they are not sleeping either. They are either taking trainings and bringing out guidelines on how this can work. And one interesting thing to note is that our dear country, Nigeria, ranks second globally in crypto adoption with over 2 million users. So now let's look at it in a pictorial form, because it will paint it will drive home the point. So we have total value received by the country in sub-Saharan Africa, July 2024 to June 2025, and the total asset is 92.1 billion. So in that, Nigeria is leading with over 30% of citizens trading cryptocurrencies. So the question you should be asking yourself is, who are assisting them? Who are the people where it looks like some of your customers are shifting away from this data? Now, still on Nigeria, of course, we have a lot of data coming up for Nigeria and South Africa. You could see that institutionals are playing it big. We could have the professionals and retailers, but it's very clear on the chart that the institutionals are playing big, and that is actually where you also come in. Still on that, the transaction volume, still on data, the transaction volume between last year, because this data was just released by Chainalysis, one of leading blockchain analytics firm. All right, so we had a 52% year increase from what we had before. We have the market projection of where this industry is taking us to, let's say, between to 2028. And the user adoption is massive, right? Like, it's really massive, the revenue projection, because a lot of people, not just you as an individual, even regulators, even the country, are looking for how they can be able to key into this particular financial ecosystem. The revenue per user, the user penetration. So we have a lot of benefits to us. First, as a Nigerian citizen. Second, as an institution. Now, just to clarify the first point, between last year and this year, we've had Nigeria alone process $92.1 billion in digital asset transaction. All right. So a lot of people would say, oh, we have the younger clients, especially leading this charge. And I don't think we are far from that, right? Because their demand is more. Now, for ASHON, this presents both a challenge and an opportunity, but I would like you to take it as an opportunity, because like our senior partner says, we are all still early to the game, and that is why you are in this class today. So, but the problem is this: if you fail to understand digital assets, what you will do is that the challenge is that you have to now risk losing your clients and your relevance, all right? And then why those who engage early, just like what you're doing now, you can capture the new market, you can diversify your income stream, and position yourself as leaders in Nigeria's evolving financial ecosystem. Now, let's get to understanding digital assets. When you hear the word digital asset, it's It's an umbrella name that comprises both cryptocurrencies, tokenized assets, utility tokens, security tokens. So I'd like you to follow me after the explanation. You'll be giving me examples of each of them in the chat box. So for cryptocurrencies, they are digital currencies built on the blockchain technology. So they are naturally born on the blockchain technology. Example, we have blockchain technology, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all right, Tron. If it's an advanced class, we have to say, okay, we have different blockchain technology, public, the private, the hybrid, the consortium, all right? So let's just limit it to what blockchain technology is. Now, these cryptocurrencies are built on the blockchain technologies. Now, let me explain coin and token at this point, because that will help you to understand stable coins that you're seeing on the screen. Because if you look at the screen right now, you can see stable coin, example USDT, USDC, and CNGN. Now, let me explain that for you. Now, remember I said we have different types of blockchain technology. Now, example, Bitcoin, Ethereum, each of them have what we call their native assets. So their native cryptocurrency for Bitcoin is still called Bitcoin. For Ethereum is Ether. For Tron is TRX, right? Now, if peradventure any token now decides to be built on another blockchain technology that is not their own, for instance, in the case of Tron, you have tokens like BitTorrent, BTT. If you already know, BTT is built on Tron's blockchain. So those ones that are now borrowing other people's blockchain network are called tokens. So now when you look at tokens like, for instance, USDT, which is a stable coin pegged to US dollar. USDC, a stablecoin pegged to US dollar. CNGN, a stablecoin pegged to Nigerian naira. Okay, so now CNGN is a token because it has been built on different blockchains. CNGN is on Base, is on Ethereum, Polygon, on different blockchain networks. So why this is relevant to us, probably as investigators, for instance, is if you're doing any case study or you're doing any investigation, you need to understand the network that token is on. Then you, as a user, let's say you want to transfer to me, maybe CNGN, you have to make sure that the wallet address that you're sending from, your own wallet address, and my own, we are on the same network. If it's based, it's going to be based to base network on the same network, all right? So that's the essence of this. If you happen to send it from one network to another, you stand the risk of losing that cryptocurrency. Now, the next one is tokenized assets. Now, this is the representation of traditional security or real-world assets on the blockchain. Remember, the cryptocurrencies were born naturally on the blockchain, but the tokenized assets, no. They were not born on the blockchain, but they were now brought to the blockchain. So you could tokenize your securities, the normal securities, you know, the bonds, even real world assets. All right. You could tokenize real estate. We have solutions already doing that. Solution providers already doing that. So this time around, you will now have a digital representation of that traditional security or real world asset on the blockchain. So now this is tokenized assets. Now the next category are called utility tokens. All right, from the name utility, it means that you are getting access to a platform or a service by virtue of holding that token. Take for instance, if you're a frequent flyer, for instance, and let's say you decide to use Airpiece, sometimes Airpiece might decide to reward you. They give you what we call air mileage, air points. You cannot come and say, oh, you have these air points, and because I have these air points, I can use it and go and buy something outside. No, it's just a token. You could use it to get more, you could use it to get more privileges in that ecosystem. That's how utility tokens function. You could have examples like Binance Coin, Binance Token, maybe Fire, and all that. Now, the next group is security tokens. The security tokens, you can relate more to that as people that, as players in the capital market, because with that, you have digital representation of securities and ownership rights and dividends. It's just like probably holding it and you are earning on it. So this group, we call them securities, and they have to pass what we call the Huawei test. So the Security Exchange Commission will be the one to ensure that these people playing issuing security tokens are actually licensed, right? Although in Nigeria, the regulatory landscape that we are in now classifies all digital assets as security at the moment. Right? So I've explained this, and I would love to see if I have very smart persons that could recall, give us one example of a cryptocurrency, one example of a tokenized asset, one example of a liquidity token, one example of a security token, just very fast in the chat box so we can proceed. Remember, I said this is going to be very interactive. So I want to ensure that we understand this. Anyhow you understand it, the goal is for you to understand it. So do we have anybody in the chat box? Any cryptocurrency you know? Any tokenized asset you know? Any utility token you know? Any security token you know? Do we have response? Nobody's attempting. Are we still following? Okay.
Yes, we are following.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, so while I wait for that, the
Yes,
next.
I am.
Thank you. Good. Our prof is stopping the class. Bitcoin, crypto, awesome, fantastic. So for cryptocurrencies, example, Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDT, CNGN. For tokenized assets, tokenized stock, tokenized real estate. For utility token, Binance Coin, Filecoin. For security tokens, any startup can actually have its own security token and then get it licensed with the Security Exchange Commission. Okay, so let's proceed. I just wanted to ensure that we understand this tokenization properly or in depth with this particular slide, all right? Because a lot of persons, a lot of institutions are already taking it big time. For instance, BlackRock has tokenized money market fund, okay? I think they called it BUIDL, like B-U-I-D-L. Okay, so it makes it easy. The normal money market fund you know about, it makes it easy for it to be on the blockchain. And even in Nigeria, I think Zen Finance has done similar thing with the CNGN tool. So people can actually now invest into money market using the CNGN. So it's not, the customers are not far from you really. They are already close to you. So even Franklin Templeton tokenized US mutual fund shares and real estate investment firms using tokenized property shares. Now, let's look at the blockchain benefits for stock brokers and dealers. At this point, I would like us to do a little exercise to understand how blockchain works. It's called the pen exercise or the pen demo. So you're going to fill a form. Okay, please can you help us drop that link? So what will happen? So imagine, this is how you understand it. Imagine a pen as an asset, and that asset is being moved from one person to another. The ownership of that asset is being moved from one person to another, okay? So if it moves from me, my name is Choma, if it moves from me and it moves to Prof, okay, it's recorded. It's actually recorded, and all of us we're going to see it. It's going to be timestamped, and nobody can be able to change it once it is recorded. So I'd like us to see how this works with this simple simulation. So if you can check, probably I've called Prof. Prof, can you please fill the form? And when you're filling the form, the owner is going to be, the previous owner is going to be Choma, and the next owner, the current owner, is going to be you. So when you're done, kindly tell us you are done so that the next person can fill it, and then we'll see how that works. You can nominate the next person to fill it, and let's see how that works. Hello, Prof. Are you with us? So it's a very simple form. Yes. So it's a pen transfer form. Yes. So you just, the previous owner would be Choma in this particular case, and then the new owner will be you, Prof. So after that, you pass the slide to the next person to fill. So the next person can fill. So we can have like 3 or 4 people filling it. So we can have the simulation we're looking for. Okay.
I've completed it and forwarded it already.
All right. Thank you, sir.
I've completed the form.
Yes. So when I get to the responses, let's see. Okay. Yes. Awesome. Oh, you passed it to the strategy. Okay. So the strategy will now be the current owner that will now pass it to the new owner. All right, so you can see that at this point, who owns the pen? At this point that we can see who owns the pen. Can you see? Can you
I think
type
you need
it?
to enlarge it. You need to enlarge it. It's tiny.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm trying to. Oh, the pen has moved. Interesting. This pen that is moving like this. I'm trying to zoom it. Oh no. Wait. It's not even.
When you have 100%, make it 150. There's 100%. No, yes. No, you passed it. Yeah.
Thank you. So the current owner. Oh, Amos. I think Amos made a mistake because it was supposed to be Deji, then Amos. All right. So the idea is that you have to put the person that is holding it before as the current owner. So we'll stop at here. We'll stop at this point. At this point. So at this point, the current owner is Deji. So Deji has to pass it to Amos for Amos to pass it to John. Yes. All right. So in that way, everybody is seeing who is the owner of that pen. So if I come back and say, hey, this pen is for, because it's definitely not for me, I've passed it on to someone that passed it to somebody else that passed it to somebody else, and it's no longer mine. And if we look again, we could see the timestamp. At what time did I pass it? So I've created an audit trail, very transparent, right? And you could see that this instant, we're not saying, we're not waiting for 2 days for confirmation to come. We didn't say, oh, let's do T+2 or T+3. No, as the form was being filled, we are seeing it happen real time. That's like a simulation of how the blockchain works. So you see how the assets are being moved from one person to another. And you can say, okay, a real blockchain. For instance, Etherscan. So Etherscan is the blockchain explorer for Ethereum. You have other ones. Each blockchain has its own blockchain explorer. Okay, so that's like a deeper class or a master class, but let's not go there. So let's take, for instance, this is a live blockchain explorer. You could see the latest transactions 11 seconds ago from this wallet address to this wallet address. What was transferred? The asset that was transferred was 0.0101964 Ethereum. That was the asset that was transferred. The only thing you don't know is the owner, the actual owner of these wallet addresses. That's what you don't know. And that's where the advanced investigation classes come in. But what you do know at this point is that there was a transfer. So you can imagine how transparent this system or this technology is and what it can do to your businesses as stockbrokers. So let's go back to our slide. Okay, let's go back to our slide. Sorry. Okay. I'm trying to get back to the slide. The screen again. Let me share screen. Stop sharing. Okay, so we're back to our slide. So what are the blockchain benefits for stockbrokers and dealers? The first thing is trust and transparency. So you could see our simulation, how it was very transparent. Everybody sees the same record. So it reduces dispute, really. The second thing is speed and efficiency. So there is instant settlement with the blockchain technology. So you don't need to wait for days for your trades to reconcile and for the other party to get value. Cost reduction. So we don't need to go back in and fix anything and hire more manpower to do the audit bookkeeping for us. Everything is already there. So it's lower collateral and back office expenses. The next one is compliance boost. I mean, with the audit trail, it's built in. All right. So it's easier. All you need to do now, probably with a tool, it makes it more effective. But we do what we call manual investigations, manual tracking, where you keep following it. And that's before the tools came in. So the tools are there to help you make it faster. And then new opportunities. tokenized securities and smart contract. This smart contract is very important, right? It's more like a code that has been coded to say if something happens, if Mr. A pays Mr. B, right, let the money be sent to Mr. B. If this happens, let this happen. If this happens, let this happen. But the trick is this: these codes are not changeable as soon as they are launched. That's smart contract. So that's why you see a lot of Ponzi schemes utilizing smart contract, building it and coding it, and then they will tell you that, oh, this is cryptocurrency. All right, because they know how to use that smart contract to build a solution whereby it is for bad thing, but then they have built a solution. So that same smart contract can be used by you, can be leveraged by you to build a very good, suitable financial solution. So in essence, blockchain makes your markets work faster, safer, cheaper, and more transparent, helping brokers and dealers to stay competitive and relevant. Now let's look at blockchain across the trade life cycle. I know before you take any trade, you want to have like the pre-trade scenario. We have the trade execution, which is the second stage. We have the post-trade, and we have the probably custody and servicing. Of course, if I'm a client and I give you my money to invest, you have that, you will custody that fund one way or the other. So the pre-trade. So imagine I come to you and I say, hey, I want you to help me and invest in a particular cryptocurrency. I want my investment portfolio to cover cryptocurrency, right? And then sometimes you might want to do some preliminary checks, probably compliance check. And one of those checks will be to hedge against credit risk. You want to know, this person that wants to make this investment, are you sure you have enough money to buy that, right? So imagine with blockchain, all I need to tell you is give me your wallet address. And once you give me your wallet address, I can check myself to see that your wallet balance can be able to take that investment. So you've used blockchain in the pre-trade stage, all right? So to avoid credit risk, things like maybe a bounce check, as the case may be. So you've done that. Even the KYC and AML can be done with the help of that. Then the actual second stage, which is the trade execution. Remember while we did our simulation, as the transaction is happening, as the ownership of the pen is being transferred to another person, it is instant, it is real time, okay? No more T+2 delays, plus instant regulator reporting. So imagine if the regulators also want to see this, they have access to the blockchain explorers and they can see it happen real time. The next stage is the post-trade. Now, what happens after the trade is executed? You go back and reconcile your papers. Oh, do I still have this in place? Did they cheat me? Did I make gain? All those stuffs can be done really with blockchain. Remember I mentioned about smart contracts. So you have lower collateral indeed, and then you have faster clearing because smart contracts can handle this. Now, the next aspect is the custody and service. Like I said, it's a very big opportunity, business opportunity on its own. In fact, the major training that our partner had was just on custody. A lot of business opportunities there, but then you have to learn about it. So securities that are issued on the blockchain, the servicing can be automated, really. Now let's proceed. Okay, so this is just like a pictorial view of what we just explained, how blockchain can be used across all the stages of the trading life cycle. Now, we know this already because we're moving from known to unknown. Now, we already know that as stockbrokers and security dealers, your role is to execute or buy or sell assets on behalf of your client, right? Maybe you're doing like a middleman. You can provide research, okay? Advice, portfolio guidance, how you're supposed to invest and all that. Your earning can be mainly from commission fee or that, right? And then you must do your compliance is key, right? We are pro-compliance, SEC, NGS, and other AML KYC rules, check. Your risk exposure is mostly operational, right? You have to make sure that it is robust and then reputational. Now, the dealers, all right? The dealers will now trade securities for their own accounts, the principal role, and then probably act as market makers. We have all those terminologies even in the crypto space, all right? Providing liquidity. They can earn via markup or spreads. They can have higher capital and licensing requirements under SEC rules compared to the previous category, and then they carry market and inventory risk. Now let's put this together. I'm bringing the crypto space people into.
All right. Akim Onimago. Okay, let me help you meet you right here. All right, thank you. So now we have similarities. It's very similar. So we have like the intermediary role. In as much as for crypto now, I can be my own bank, no issue. Buy my crypto, hold it in my wallet, decentralized wallet. But I can decide that, hey, I don't want to be my own bank, or probably I'm a business person, I'm doing business with crypto. I cannot just custody people's funds myself because I don't have those institutional facilities myself. So that might be a reason why I might need to now go to a third party to help me with that aspect. In that place, you have people doing business there, right? So trading platform, similar. Stockbrokers can go to stock exchanges, security dealers, OTC and exchange based, right? Crypto, this is where it is now a bit different. You know, the centralized exchange, you know, it is the same. You can go there. Let's say I want to buy Bitcoin. I get to a centralized exchange. Now, who are the centralized exchange operators? The likes of Binance, Luno, Quidax, right? They have just created a business model, and then they have created a platform that you just go, sign up into the platform, enter the marketplace. You can now decide to, you don't need to be looking for who to buy your crypto from. On that platform, if I had entered the platform to buy today, and then I'm seeing that cryptocurrency, maybe Bitcoin, is at probably, I don't know the price now, maybe $120,000. And I say, oh, I know that Bitcoin can come down. And then I set my trade in spot markets, right, to 100,000. It means that once the market reaches that price, my Bitcoin is bought for me. So you can see it's similar to what you're already doing, right? Same thing, if I want to do futures, derivatives, same thing. But the thing is that you have somebody that is in that business model, just like you, that would make sure you KYC people coming to that place, make sure you do transaction monitoring, make sure you do your policies, submit to regulators, all those check. Have that happen there. Now, the little variation is now the decentralized exchanges. So in the decentralized exchange world, I don't need to go to a centralized exchange. From my wallet, from my crypto wallet, I just swap. So, and I want to change from CNGN to maybe Bitcoin. I will just swap it, all right? I still have my Bitcoin when I do the swap. So in that case, I did not need anybody. But the business model there can come from, remember I said market makers, liquidity providers. So in the crypto world, there has to be somebody that will place liquidity for that swap to happen. So I can be a regular person. I'll come in, place my CNGN, place my BTC on a marketplace. I'll be a market maker. So people can now be swapping. So that's another business on its own. So you can see there are a lot of similarities there. For compliance, it's same, check, AML, KYC, CFT, even down to the DEX, all right? Because we have what we call the travel rule, FATF travel rule, that now applies even to decentralized exchanges, all right, or unhosted wallets, as the case may be. Now, for custody and settlement, I've explained that. So the difference now is that when you're custodying in crypto, you're not custodying physical money. You are custodying with private keys, what we call private keys, all right? So you're making sure that you are keeping those private keys of your individual safe. And you know how to segregate the funds of your customer. So if Mr. A comes to me, keep my funds for me. Mr. B comes to me, keep my funds. You should be able to do all those segregations. So, like I said, it's a different business model on its own. So the key difference is now, I've explained it, but this is just like in a table format, just for you to get it at a glance. We're not going to be concentrating on the second and third column, but rather the last column. So the role, of course, we have brokers that facilitate client trades, like I've explained in the centralized exchange scenarios, all right? Market makers that trade from their own event. I've told you how you can market make, you can provide liquidity on DEX platforms. Assets, of course, the assets in crypto is digital tokens of cryptocurrencies, stablecoins, tokenized assets. For market structure, you have stockbrokers, centralized, security dealers, OTC, and exchange. And then for crypto, that is where the centralized comes in to add to the centralized platform. Trading hours, very interesting. There's no sleeping time for crypto market. It's 24/7.
There's no, oh, the market is closing, so let's go and sleep. No, anytime you wake up, you can trade. For regulation, of course, the stockbrokers, SEC, NSE rules, security dealers, SEC, crypto as well. For Nigeria, SEC is the principal regulator at the moment. And although regulation is still evolving. Then the risk profile. Now, for this, as a compliance person, you understand inherent risk. So these are the inherent risks, all right? Of course, inherent risk, then you have your control added to it to mitigate those risks. So for crypto, we know high volatility. Okay, that's the inherent risk. And then, of course, regulatory risk when it comes to evolving. So you can just sleep today, wake up, another regulation is up, you're trying to follow up with trends, you're doing horizontal scanning of what is happening in other countries and how to catch up with it. And then custody risk, I explained that you need to know how to manage this private keys, you need to know how to segregate these customer funds. It's no longer the regular thing, you know, and that's a different business on its own. So now let's just look at few case studies, because some of these things might sound so abstract. But when you see that other people are already doing it and they're already making waves, you can get it. So what you need to do is take note of names that we mentioned at your own time, because we can't, due to time, we can't just start breaking them down one after the other as we would do in a master class. But at least you can take down the names, you can do further research to confirm everything that has been said. So for Switzerland, we have banks and brokers, all right, traditional brokers already going into crypto. They're integrating crypto trading and custody for their clients. So an example is the 6 digital exchange. So you could see like the picture on the screen. And then another one is CSD. Then in Japan, we have the Nomura Laser Digital in Japan. So they created a digital asset firm offering tokenized investments, trading, and fund management. It's happening already. So you don't need to sleep on these opportunities. Now, when you go to US, a lot of them, but these are just few of them that we can bring to you. When you just Google, you see a whole lot of them happening. So Fidelity Digital Asset now provide custody and crypto trading solutions. All right. So Robinhood offers both crypto and stock. So if you're already in this system, you know that these names that we're mentioning are people that are already doing big things in the traditional ecosystem. So they don't want to be left behind, really. All right. And then for the UK, that's TPICAP, one of the world's largest interdealer brokers, have already launched a crypto trading platform for institutional clients. Remember that slide we saw initially, that data? A lot of them are going institutional, all right? And then South Africa, some people will say, these are the Oyibos, the whites. Yes, no, it's not just the whites, because it's happening in Africa. South Africa has easy equities that has already started. They offer both traditional equities and exposure to digital assets, capturing new investor demographics. So like I said, you can jot down these names and do further research after this webinar. For Nigeria, we have platforms already that are in the SEC incubatory program that has provisional license, Bushel, PDAX, and I mentioned earlier about what Zen Finance is doing with money market funds, right? We have Zodia. This is for custody. Like they really went full into custody, and there was a challenge, of course. Institutional investors required a secure and regulated gateway to access digital assets. Existing providers were often retail focused with limited governance, weak compliance, insufficient integration with established financial system. So what they did was that they launched a joint venture of Standard Chartered SC Ventures and Northern Trust and built a compliance-first institutional grade custody platform. Okay, and you could see the success factor and the business impact. A lot is happening. You could take this down and do further research into what they have done. Now, what are the opportunities for ASHON members? We have mentioned a whole lot of them. We've given you opportunities side when it comes to custody, how you can integrate digital assets into your investors' portfolio and all that. And that's the first one, diversification. All right, you can expand your product offerings beyond what you are doing on equities and bonds. This will give you new revenue streams, really, because you can earn from crypto brokerage fees. So imagine what you are doing already, you're adding crypto to it. The commission you're getting already, you're getting more. Investor retention, you will not lose your current customers, the current people you have already that trust you. You will not lose them because the young investors are increasingly drawn to digital assets. Then tokenization of securities, okay? You could play a lead role in the future of tokenized shares and board in Nigeria. One thing is sure, you already have the knowledge, you already have the infrastructure, you just need to upgrade. It's not going to be difficult compared to somebody that wants to come new into this ecosystem. Cross-border transactions will be made easier with what? Stable coins. Now I'm going to dwell more on stablecoin in the next slide. So please pay attention. From the little interaction we had, we understood that what is on ground is the PAP system. But then there's a very good news for you. Your current experience, whatever it is you're experiencing with PAPs, can be made better with stablecoin integration. So of course, we know that PAPs has come to remove bottlenecks. When, okay, let's say I want to buy something from Ghana and I can't send Naira to Ghana because what they accept is cedis. Before now, what we would do is to probably go send Naira to dollar, from dollar, go back again to cedis. So, but now with PAPs, you can do that, but we still have an intermediary, which is the CBN, all right? The CBN of Nigeria, the CBK of the BOG of Ghana can be able to interplay back end for you to be able to receive your funds. But what we're saying is that with cryptocurrencies like stablecoins in particular, being integrated into this model, you will have it faster. So imagine a stablecoin backed with Naira, example, CNGN, and you have it. You know, for you to get CNGN, what you're doing is on-ramping. You're just making your money go digital, on-chain. That is it. So you have your Naira in the bank that cannot do anything with crypto. So because you want to do something with crypto, you just on-ramp it. You have taken it to the blockchain world. And then on that blockchain world, you interact. Remember, you can buy crypto with crypto, right? You buy your maybe Ghana cedis stable coin that has been done. You buy it immediately. As you're buying it, the person receives it. So you're paying and the person is receiving with the Ghana stable coin. And the same way the person must have bought on-ramped his CDs to Ghana stablecoin, or the same way you on-ramped your Naira to Naira stablecoin, is the same way the person will off-ramp it to Ghana stablecoin. There is no touch point with CBN again coming in the picture to delay the transaction because it is going to be very instant. So what is on this slide says stablecoins will not replace the PAP system, but it can supercharge it by one, giving it instant settlement capability, all right, expanding liquidity and reach beyond banks. So it's not just banks now that can play in this, all right? We have a lot of people that are building products and solutions in the fintech ecosystem. It can lower, so the cost of converting from one currency to dollar, converting it back, all those things will be made easier and cheaper with stable coins. Strengthening compliance and transparency, I explained that earlier, and enabling innovation trade finance models with smart contracts. So you shouldn't be boxed up with the current knowledge you have. At this moment, you should be thinking of how you can build solutions with smart contracts on the blockchain that will make these things easier. Now, of course, this is just going to be a walkthrough because I feel it's interesting for us to know, but most of the regulatory landscape, because we are already players in the space, it's what we know. The Nigerian SEC, of course, has issued rules for virtual asset service providers. Of course, we have the CNGN. I've mentioned that currently in the regulatory sandbox. We have the NGX. That was very interesting to me because I think last year they published draft rules for the listing of digital assets and tokens. I was thinking, oh, probably it was even what made what was inculcated in the SEC rules that finally came out. The CBN, initially we had the banking ban era that was now closed. Now the CBN issued guidelines on how banks can now onboard virtual asset service providers. FATF is Financial Action Task Force, so they have regulatory guidelines. So all these things still apply to us. Opportunities. So the opportunity that licensed stockbrokers, you are already trusted by regulators. You already know what they do, all right? You already understand their language. You already understand their reporting mechanisms. And so you are in a better position to bridge the gap between the crypto and traditional finance. So the roadmap for us, okay, as ASHON members right now is very simple and clear. It's very simple. One, education and training. That's the basics, really. A lot of people shy away from this part because but I believe that would not be seen in our midst. When I was starting out, I recall having some conversations with my mentor, our senior partner, Mr. Deji, and he encouraged me to pick up courses and certifications. But when I speak to my colleagues, they'll be like, you're spending a whole lot of money there, right? But they don't understand that this is you investing in yourself. Currently, I have my master's in blockchain and digital currencies, and I got that from the University of Nicosia, Cyprus. So it is something that you would have to start first from. That's the basics. So it will give you that knowledge that you seek and you desire. And the truth is that the education is easier because we have institutions like A&E Forensics that you can partner with to make it easier for you. We already understand what your pain points are, and then it's going to be tailored to both for compliance and investigation. Now, the next point now is strategic partnership. By the time you now understand it, one thing that happened most in our training is that by the time you're listening now, you're having those eureka moments. Hey, I can do this, I can do that. Yes, that's what the training will expose you to. And then when you get that, you start looking for strategic partnerships because we already have people that probably are ahead of you, or how you can collaborate with already licensed crypto exchanges, for instance, or explore partnership with fintechs for infrastructure support. Because like I mentioned earlier, I mentioned things like smart contracts. If you do your smart contract without auditing, for instance, is a risk. I'll tell you why. You are not a developer, but you hire a developer to do that for you. When that developer does it, you don't know how the developer coded it. The developer can code a backdoor, and you will not know. The developer might not know or might know. So the essence of a smart contract audit now is now to check that everything that the developer has coded is perfect and fine. So you could see that these things it's not a journey of today. It's something you take one step at a time. So probably you might want to do some partnerships first for infrastructure support before you go ahead to start building your own. So that's where that strategic partnership comes in. For us at A&E Forensics, we have a flagship certification course for compliance and for investigation in case these are specific for the roles. And then compliance and licensing, of course, we can assist in this aspect because we do consultations as well. So you will review the SEC. When you're reading the digital asset guidelines now with this understanding, you are reading it from with a mindset shift. Maybe things that you didn't see before, you will see it clearer now because you now know. There's a difference between someone that didn't know anything and someone that now knows. Trust me, compliance, AML, CFT, sanction screening, travel rule, all those things still happen to crypto asset world. We do all of those things. So don't be scared about that. Then you can now start talking about piloting your services. You can start offering crypto advisory and market. In fact, if you take courses, take your certifications, take proper training, believe me, two, 3 trials, you are off the market. You will be there. Because you already know these things before now. You can explore custody solution in collaboration with licensed digital asset custodians. Diversify your products. Introduce tokenized securities, ETF, structured products that integrate crypto exposure. And you can now boldly talk to your investors. I can help you with this. You can even start talking about hosting seminars, target the Gen Zs, the millennials, and tell them that this is what you can also do. This is a very big opportunity for you. So the long-term strategy really is to position ASHON as the bridge between traditional markets and the emerging world of digital assets. Push for regulatory clarity where it's needed and innovation sandboxes in Nigeria. So in conclusion, digital assets are not a passing trend really. They mark a fundamental shift in financial markets. So as ASHON members, you already have the trust. You have the licensing, the infrastructure that positions you to lead the transition in Nigeria. So if you embrace education, compliance and innovation, you can unlock new opportunities and ensure you remain at the forefront of investment services in the digital era. So the world is going digital. And as licensed brokers, you have the tools to shape this new market, not watch from the sidelines. Because some people really, after this webinar, can decide to watch from the sidelines, and the few of you can also decide to take this business, to take this platform, financial market, to the next level. So with that, I come to the conclusion of my presentation. Thank you so much for listening and for paying attention. So I'll hand over the mic back to, I think, Oge, to continue with the next part.
All right, thank you so much, Choma, for such a wonderful presentation. I hope you all got value from that. I think it's time for our question and answers, and I think someone is able to take over the question and answer space. Please, can you ask your questions? Is either you unmute yourself, you raise your hand to unmute yourself, or you put it in the chats. Please, can we all appreciate our teacher for today? Thank you, Choma. You did a fantastic job. Okay, I think Raphael Alaoye has his hand up. Okay. You can please unmute yourself to ask, please.
Sorry, it was an error. Thank you.
Okay, I can see Sigma Securities has his hand raised as well.
Yeah. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Please, my question goes to you directly. That in terms of the digital exchange, is there anyone that SEC has currently given a license to operate in Nigeria? That is one. Two, the connectivity between currently, if someone has a platform that is trading stocks, the connectivity between that and that, the current platform and that of the digital asset, is it going to be through API? That is the handshake, you know, because there will be movement from the wallet system to fund the account and what have you. So that is the second question. The connectivity, is it through API or there are other means of doing that connectivity? These are the two questions that I wanted to answer.
Okay, so do I answer? Let me be sure I answer that for you. So thank you very much, sir. I think the for SEC, if you are following the space from SEC, sometime in 2024, that was last year, August, I think 20th or 12th, I'm not sure of the date now, but there was a very big celebration, and SEC Nigeria was celebrated across the world for licensing. So for kicking in a licensing regime. And so what that did was to actually license two indigenous exchanges, and they are namely Quidax and Busha Digital Exchanges. Those two were licensed provisionally, and then also opening up the gateway for 7 other digital asset projects to be admitted into the SEC sandbox. So namely tokenization platforms, digital asset issuance platforms, digital asset custodians, and a whole bunch of those companies. And those companies have been operating within Nigeria for the past 1 year, including CNGN that Chioma mentioned, and including those exchanges. And people, young Nigerians are buying assets on those things and selling assets on daily basis. And that is why it is also very clear for ASHON, for example, and the members to be familiar with what is happening under where they operate, especially in Nigeria, and to get a trajectory of what is happening. If you also follow Chioma's presentation, she shared that last year, June to this time, 2025, July, Nigerians have traded on chain over $92.1 billion US. And among those trades are actually institutional players moving and putting money around that. So how to capture that is also things we can discuss. And I think so that will have answered the first question. Are there anyone licensed? There are a bunch of them licensed in Nigeria, but 2 are operational, major exchanges, and some other services. And secondly, how do you connect with my existing platform to the digital exchanges for people to be able to buy and sell crypto? So this can work. So 2 things. I think it also depends on how do I put it now? How ready you are technology-wise and how trained you are to understand digital asset. Because there's a clear demarcation between digital assets, the modes of operation, and the traditional assets and shares of companies that you trade today. And so why they differ is that they reside in one of them have a cutoff, one of them closes by 2:15 daily, like you do on the stock exchange. And then you now begin to do your complete reconciliation and reporting before you close for the day. The other one does not close. It trades 247, 365 days in the year. And so in their case, settlement is instant. Buying those assets is instant. But again, like she mentioned, your trading, your derivatives, your spot trading all happen around that side. The only difference now is that until you create a pathway for you as a broker, you actually do not have any role in the world, because I don't have any intermediary telling me, oh, you cannot buy Ethereum until you come to me as a stockbroker to do that. But today, people are quickly, so that their profession does not get, eroded by the new innovation. They are quickly also keying in by creating a brokerage account. Let me see, I think let me show you this. So if you check, for example, Grayscale, is my screen visible?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So if you check Grayscale, for example, Grayscale say, look, to invest here, search for this. They are listing new token, and I think they just listed that maybe today. And to invest in this token called GDLC, open your brokerage account. And so your brokerage account here, you open a brokerage account, they enable tokenized assets. Invest in your future shares. The share of your future. This feature here is not your regular shares of different companies. These are tokenized assets. Investment portfolios, you see all those assets. And if you check, investment product, you can see you can trade Bitcoin, you can trade Ethereum, you can trade a bunch of assets, private funds, private equities, a lot of things, that you can trade within their own place. If you check, they have a bunch of ETFs and also ETPs, and all that. So this is the kind of brokerage account that the young generation want to see. And so the essence of this is to say, how do you begin to look at this? Can you connect, just back to my my question about, do you just connect to this or not? So 2 things. If you think you have the technology capability to create the likes of Grayscale brokerage platform for digital asset, by all means, that would be a fantastic thing for your brokerage firm to look at. But for a start, you can have a handshake. And that's what you are doing, is that without altering what you do today, but you can enable your customers to actually trade within the regulated exchanges. So meaning if they want to buy, so that is you having partnership and handshake with the likes of Busha, the likes of Quidax, and you say any client of mine that want to have an exposure into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all those issues. And all those ones, you have to also learn it, advise them, and also advise them on the volatility, know how it is, check how much the projections are. So there's a lot of work, but yes, you can have an API connection and create a widget on your platform for people to co-invest. So when they want to buy, you are not the one buying, you are not the one selling, so you just refer them to that exchange to buy. So you are making them ready for that asset in case they come with such demand and you are not ready to build a platform like that of Grayscale to actually serve them. I don't know if that have answered your question.
You have answered me absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you for that. Please, does anyone have any other question? You can either use the chat or you raise your hand to ask, please. Okay, Mark Paul has raised his hand. Please, can you kindly unmute yourself? Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon. And let me first and foremost appreciate our lecturer. Let me call her lecturer for today. She did a wonderful job to that. That was fantastic. I must confess to that. Okay, the question that I have, just one question. The other question has been asked by the fourth person. So my question is that what are the possible risks that I need to consider when, as a stockbroker, why trading on, why having my client exposed to digital trading? So I'm just looking at the regulation aspect of it now is noted, like she mentioned. But you know, with the kind of environment we have in this country, the movement of fund, I know blockchain will manage or secure some of those areas. But at the same time, I'm still having I'm still having this deep concern about the risk, because of course it's 24 hours, but in a traditional, let me say a normal brokerage service or business now, we do that within a period where you can do the reconciliation, you know what has happened, the trade settlement, and after then you are closed for the day until the next day. But in this particular digital trading, it's going to be 24 hours. So that's my concern. If my lecturer can help me to explain more on that area, in the area of risk. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you
If
so
you say
much.
risk, maybe which specific risk? So there are a lot of risks depending on which aspect of the blockchain you operate from, right? So, and again, anything digital, there's a risk of cyber attack. That is number one risk. And of course, there will be risks of not getting educated enough to expose what we call the private key, you know, of whatever you're doing on those sites. But I think you also mentioned something around, since it's trading 24 hours, what are the risks? So there's a lot of things that needed to be put in place. I had a discussion with NGX, and they're looking at how this whole thing can be tokenized and brought in for the young generation to be able to trade those assets. But don't forget also, the assets are mirroring the existing asset that you have. So if you take, for example, like Dangote today, or you take Lafarge, or you take WAPCO, for example, and you say, oh, I want to have a WAPCO in a digital format to be traded. So two things, like you mentioned, and that's where maybe possibly the risks within the cutoff is. So this, you are now having a replica of that to be traded by the digital version. And then the traditional one is still trading and closing by 12:15. And this is running 24 hours. How do you check the arbitrage about the pricing? And how do you mirror the same pricing to remain the same? I think those are the discussion in a technical ground with the likes of custodians, asset managers, the likes of you that are brokers. And so those are all discussions that are in different rooms today to say, okay, let's see, how do these guys do? So what they do is to actually hold, buy those assets, and it's not mirroring the whole asset, buy a particular asset, tokenize that number to bring it digital. So that also is saying you have to now have two baskets that you're trading. So it's a lot of learning, and I think the idea here is there's a lot of learning curve, and with the education to understand how these assets work, what are the risks. So there's a cybersecurity risk, there's a hacking risk, there's a private key exposure, you know, so a lot of those things. There's also regulatory risks because some of them are not too clear. And even today, when SEC have mentioned this, SEC have not opened up the floodgate because they are still watching within the past 1 year to see what works, what are the things we are learning. I saw a lot of reports about what they also wanted to be fed to them by the people they just recently licensed. So there's a lot and it's emanating, and also don't forgetting the volatility of those assets as different from what you currently deal with. So it is, yes, you do find swings of 10% losses and 10% profit in the capital market, for example, but you can wake up and see a swing more than those percentage in the volatile asset of the cryptocurrency because it's still growing and there's no depth of liquidity to actually sustain that market that much. It's growing, and I think 2-3 years ago the market is sub 1 trillion. The last check last week, the market is over $3 trillion US. So it's growing, and I think those will be the thing of the part. I think the swings have also reduced. The kind of volatility we're seeing from Bitcoin, you know, going to 120, 121, 118, and you all of a sudden wake up tomorrow and find it at 60,000, 70,000 is no more. It's gradually leaving because you have the likes of BlackRock, a lot of mega institutional investors coming into it to buy it as asset. So there's a growth of liquidity, but just as a starting point, really. So those are all challenges that I know with time, as the whole thing goes, we can be able to surmount them. But yeah, they are there in this space. So I'm seeing one question: with the global nature of this asset, what are the challenges involved in complying with different regulations in different countries, and how can they be managed? So I think, like the speaker mentioned, regulation is so wide and fragmented. And so today there's a risk for regulatory arbitrage where people live there to go to countries that have not gotten their bearing on what to do, e.g. Nigeria, really. Because again, if you ask regulators, who are the people that traded 92.1 billion US dollars within us? What did they use it to do? Money laundering, terror financing, buying stock, whatever. What is that? So those regulatory capabilities really are not to that strength yet. And so, but the good thing that is currently happening is that people are now regulated within jurisdiction. So there's a regulation within Europe called the Market in Crypto Asset, MiCA. And so if you want to operate within Europe, you need to subject yourself within that regulation to be able to operate. And if you're coming to Nigeria, for example, you need to subject yourself to this SEC in Nigeria, go to the regulatory incubation RA program and get the substantive license. In South Africa, for example, they've licensed more than 200 or 300 people to play. And those are all your capabilities to operate within that jurisdiction. If you want to open up your business into various jurisdictions, then you should also be ready to manage compliance requirements across different jurisdictions because they do differ. There's a convergence around AML, CFT, convergence around travel rule, meaning travel rule is just a new kind of regulation to know who is sending what, who is the beneficiary, who is the transmitter of that money, and all those details entered in and also reported accordingly to financial intelligence unit according to how the normal financial system works. So I think those are the things that I think you have to manage based on the global nature of cryptocurrency. Again, because they are borderless. And I think there was a joke this morning where someone said, I thought he was a Chinese national and we just finished meeting with them now. And he said, I thought Binance was banned in Nigeria. And I saw a lot of people have Binance app and it's still working. Do they use VPN? I said, no, they didn't use VPN. But the government have not built capability to actually stop actors from operating within their jurisdiction. So if you have not built the capability to actually supervise and monitor these things, you cannot begin judicial rules because you don't have a way to actually enforce them. And so everyone is still trading normally even when they're having issues with them. So those are all the things. So those arbitrage, people move to different countries, get things done. But yes, there are regulations in different countries and you need to comply with them if you want to operate within those jurisdictions.
Thank you, Mr. Deji. I hope that answered your question, Miriam Atoyebi. Okay, thank you for that explanation. Oh, she says it does. Okay, so I think that's all in the chats. I don't think any other person has a question. All right, so thank you so much for those excellent questions. They really show your level of interest, and curiosity around this topic. Right, so as you have seen today, this session was just an introduction. There's so much more to unpack, from the compliance requirements to case studies to practical strategies, step by step. Can even hold your hands to show you what exactly to do. So that's why after this session, we also created or designed a digital asset masterclass for stockbrokers, where we're going to dive deeper and give you hands-on tools to help you prepare for this new era of investment. Right, so we've created a short interest form for those of you who will be interested in it and be amongst the first to get the details. You can take a moment to fill the form just to show your interest, and then we'll let you know when it's time. Just you'll be the first to get the details. So the link is in the chat now, so you can just click and take take 2 minutes or 1 minute really to fill the form before you log off. All right, so it has been an interesting session. Thank you so much, everyone. I sincerely thank hosts at ASHON, our participants for your engagement, and of course, my colleagues, Mr. Deji and Chomo Nyekelu, for their insights today, because we've seen that digital assets are here to stay, and the brokers who prepare early will be the ones who would definitely lead tomorrow's market. So on behalf of A&D Forensics team, we say thank you, and we look forward to seeing you at the masterclass. So thank you, and as I hand over to ASHON.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, okay. Thank you for anchoring this program. And thank you, Deji, and of course, Chioma, for that excellent presentation and responses that we have received so far. As we mentioned, you have also emphasized that again, this is an introductory session. We would engage with you, that is, ASHON will engage with you before we take the next steps. We'll engage with you and also touch base with our various platforms, and then agree on the next steps going forward. So members can fill the form, but future relationship will depend on what ASHON will agree with you, and after also touching base with our regulators. So thank you so much for the effort. We appreciate this. This is very deep, and I think it's quite interesting for our members. And we can see that from the number of people that turned up for this webinar. So we'll come back to you through the ASHON Secretariat. So thank you, Deji, and again, Chairman. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for your interest and very active participation at this webinar. We'll come back to you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Hello, Mr. Professor Sunday. I'm just seeing you here, my Oga. Professor Mulaga. How are you, sir?
It's good to be here. It's good to hear from
Thank you, sir.
Well done,
Well done, sir. Well done, sir.